Endgame is almost here, and I wanted to get off one more video about what has happened in between time because it won't be as relevant after Avengers Endgame drops. I've done several videos breaking down the Captain Marvel movie and how it's so incredibly odd and how this is really a unique shoehorn. I have about a 34-minute long video breaking down all of this with facts, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going through that. So you will be made to look like the jackass you are if you choose to bring up a point that I've already addressed in 1700 videos. But considering the events that took place, there's a movie that could have existed, that should have existed, that I believe would have pleased both the fans of the comics as well as the normies who just enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Instead of dropping a Captain Marvel movie, they should have dropped a Thanos origin film. This film simply eliminates all of the major criticisms that people had with the Captain Marvel shoehorn. It makes sense. We know of his existence and he's really been built up, in the background throughout several movies. So it wouldn't be a case of a random character that was never alluded to existing, just popping up out of nowhere to save the day with a rather lousy explanation as to why they have been missing for 20-something years. But in a Thanos origin film, we could have not only gotten a more in-depth look at how the cinematic universe's most prominent villain came to be, but we also could have been introduced to so many different characters that are part of his history. We could have gotten a history on how Mentor, Thanos' father, stumbled upon and populated Titan with Sui's son. This would have introduced us to Kronos by default, who is not only the grandfather of Thanos, but he's also a cosmic being and the creator of Drax the Destroyer. This would have given the audience an opportunity to learn more about his backstory and how he became the Mad Titan. We also could have gotten introduced to a legitimate version of Mar-Vell, who was indeed the first person to ever defeat Thanos during that Cosmic Cube arc. That could have maybe been the major battle in the film, or at the very least they could have mentioned it. It's certainly more preferable to the nerfed, gender-swapped version of Mar-Vell that we got in the Captain Marvel movie. Now, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there is no Thanos quest unless you want to consider him getting the gems one by one as his quest. But the original Infinity Gauntlet arc in the comics is not Thanos' first run with the gems. They used to be called the Soul Gems. He was the one that named them the Infinity Gems. The reason why it is important to mention that, and it's important to mention that the Infinity Gauntlet arc was not his first run-in with those gems, is because of what it sets up. Thanos had been defeated by first Mar-Vell and then Adam Warlock before he even went on his Thanos quest, which led to the Infinity Gauntlet arc. He was resurrected by Lady Death, who he convinced to allow him to go on this quest so he could eliminate half of the universe. Yes, eliminating half of the universe was not initially for Thanos' own ego, if you will, sort of, but not really. It was for Lady Death, who is the person that he really serves and he's been trying to impress. A Thanos origin film would have introduced us to Lady Death and his obsession with her. So we could have gotten introduced to Mar-Vell, Lady Death, Mentor, Eros, or even Moondragon, which would have been your strong female superhero. Hell, maybe even Quasar, who was the one who replaced Mar-Vell. Ideally, they could have given us Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer too, but they dropped the ball because they alluded to Adam existing after the Guardians movie. Silver Surfer, I'm guessing, could not have been introduced because of the whole Fox merger. But there's a big list of classic characters that could have been introduced, characters that are important to Thanos' history. Instead, we got a character that has no historical connection to Thanos, all while using the movie to crap on the legacies of Mar-Vell, the person who Danvers is a freaking copy of, who was gender swapped, and Monica Rambeau, an original character who was only Captain Marvel in name given to her by the public. She had no connection to Mar-Vell, no connection to Miss Marvel, yet she was made to look up to the great white hope that is Carol Danvers in the Captain Marvel movie. Something she's never done in the comics, has no business doing in movies. Marvel had an opportunity to build up on a prominent villain even more so, and this would have pleased the fans of the comics as well as the normies who just need to see a bunch of stuff flashing around on the screen as they have zero connection to the source material anyway. I like to think that the normies who scream, "It's a different universe, $1 billion box office," Sorb just claims everybody with a damn criticism hates Brie Larson would at least get it by now, but if they don't get it by now, they ain't gonna ever get it. And they will continue to be the script reading NPCs that they are. Regardless, I think it's more than safe to say that no matter where you are on the spectrum, a Thanos origin film would have made more sense in the context of the cinematic universe as well as the source material. You have to at least admit there's nothing positive that the Captain Marvel movie introduced that a Thanos origin film couldn't have introduced, plus more. Well, maybe it wouldn't have given me as many haters to monetize. I at least thank you for that, Danvers.